What if the reason you have not moved forward is not because you are too weak, but because you have believed a lie about who you are? What if everything that has held you back, every hesitation, every excuse, every moment you talked yourself out of something great was never really about your ability, but about a voice that started speaking over you so long ago that by now it sounds like your own. It sounds like logic. It sounds like wisdom. It sounds like just being realistic. But it is a lie. And deep down, you know it. Because there is something inside you. Something that stirs when you least expect it. A dream that will not die. A calling you cannot shake. A purpose that keeps knocking on the door of your heart, even when you keep telling it to go away. And yet, you still feel too small, too ordinary, too unknown, too unqualified, too far behind, too broken, too late. I need you to stay with me this morning, because God is about to use a man who felt exactly the way you feel right now to show you something that will silence that voice forever. There is a particular kind of pain that nobody really talks about. It is not the pain of failing. It is the pain of never trying. It is the pain of watching others step into spaces that you secretly believed were meant for you. It is the pain of sitting on a gift for so long that you have started to wonder if it was ever real. You scroll through other people's lives, and something inside you aches, not because you are jealous, but because something in you recognizes that you were built for more than this, and yet you stay small, you stay quiet, you stay in the background, and you have become so good at hiding that people around you do not even know what you are carrying. They do not know about the dream you buried, the vision you shelved, the prayer you stopped praying, because hope started to feel more dangerous than disappointment. And so you settled. You told yourself this is enough. You told yourself, maybe I misheard God. Maybe it was just my imagination. Maybe people like me do not get to live like that. But what if you were wrong? What if God has been waiting on the very thing you gave up on? I want to introduce you to a man who understood exactly how you feel. A man who had buried himself so deep in smallness that when God showed up, he could not even recognize what God saw in him. His name was Gideon, and when we first meet him, he is not on a battlefield. He is not leading an army. He is not standing on a mountaintop declaring the word of the Lord. He is hiding. He is threshing wheat in a winepress underground, out of sight, out of reach, doing in secret what should have been done in the open because he was afraid. Israel was being crushed by the Midianites. The enemy had taken everything, the crops, the livestock, the dignity of an entire nation, and the people of God were living like refugees in their own land. And Gideon was just trying to survive, just trying to keep his head down, just trying to make it through another day without being seen. Does that sound familiar? Have you been hiding? Have you been playing small? Have you been doing in secret what God has been calling you to do in the open? Because what happened next will take your breath away. And then, in the middle of Gideon's hiding, in the middle of his fear, in the middle of his smallness, an angel of the Lord appeared and sat down right there in that ordinary, unremarkable underground place. And what the angel said should shake something loose inside of you this morning. He did not say, "Get yourself together and then I will use you." He did not say, "When you are stronger, come back and we will talk." He did not say, "I have found someone more qualified." No. He looked directly at Gideon, hiding, afraid, ordinary Gideon, and he said, "The Lord is with you, mighty warrior, mighty warrior." Not potential warrior, not future warrior, not warrior in training, mighty warrior right now, as you are, in your hiding place, in your fear, in your confusion, in your smallness. God called him what he could not yet see in himself. And that is exactly what God is doing with you this morning. He is not waiting for you to become someone else. He is calling out who you already are. The name God has for you does not sound like your excuses. It does not sound like your past. It sounds like your destiny. But here is what I love about Gideon. And here is what makes his story so deeply human, so deeply yours. He argued with God. He did not jump up with confidence. He did not say, "Yes, Lord, here I am, send me." He looked at the angel and said, "If God is with us, then why has all of this happened? Where are the miracles our fathers told us about?" And then, when God personally commissioned him, he said, "How can I save Israel? My clan is the weakest in Manasseh, and I am the least in my father's house." Did you hear that? The weakest clan, the least in the family. Gideon did not just feel small. He had evidence. He had a history. He had a family tree that confirmed his insignificance. He had grown up being the least. And when you have spent your whole life being told, you are the least, you start to believe it. You start to build your entire identity around it. You stop dreaming because dreaming feels irresponsible for someone like you. But God never argued with Gideon's weakness. He never disputed the facts. He simply said, "I will be with you, and beloved." That changed everything, because it was never about Gideon's strength. It was always about God's presence. And this is where heaven draws a line. In the sand, this is where God makes it plain. Because in Judges 6:14, the Lord turned to Gideon and said, "Go in the strength you have. Go in the strength you have, not the strength you wish you had, not the strength you are waiting to develop, not the strength that will come after more preparation, more training, more time, more confidence. The strength you have right now, in this moment, with this history, with these wounds, with these limitations, with this ordinary life. Go." And then God seals it with the most powerful 4 words a human being can ever receive. "I am sending you," not, "Maybe I will use you one day," not, "We will see how you develop," not, "Come back when you are ready." I am sending you. And what Gideon discovered is what God needs you to understand this morning, that faith was never about the size of the person. It was always about the size of the God standing behind them. You do not need to be great for God to do something great through you. You simply need to be available. You simply need to say yes with whatever you have, wherever you are, because God does not call the equipped, He equips the called. So here you are on this quiet morning, with your doubts still fresh, with your excuses still lined up, with every reason in the world to stay hidden, to stay small, to stay in the winepress of your fear. And God is saying to you what He said to Gideon: get up. Not when you feel ready, not when the conditions are perfect, not when someone finally believes in you, not when you have figured it all out. Get up now, because the enemy has kept you small, not by overpowering you, but by convincing you that you were never powerful to begin with. And that ends this morning, because faith is not the absence of fear. Faith is moving forward while the fear is still in the room. Gideon went from hiding in a winepress to leading an army, to defeating a nation, not because he became someone different, but because he finally believed what God said about him. And now, God is saying it about you. You are not too small. You are not too late. You are not too broken. You are not too ordinary. You are chosen. You are sent. You are equipped. So rise, step out of hiding, and trust the God who called you mighty before you ever felt like it. Lord, this morning I come before you with a heart that feels smaller than the battles in front of me. Sometimes I wake up already feeling behind, already feeling like I do not have what it takes to face the day. And deep inside, I hear those quiet thoughts telling me I am not strong enough, not wise enough, not important enough for you to use. But today I bring those thoughts into your presence because your word reminds me of Gideon, a man who also felt small, a man who hid while the world around him seemed stronger. Yet you still called him, not because he felt ready, but because you saw something greater inside him. Lord, when I look at myself, I see limitations. But when you look at me, you see purpose. So this morning, I ask you to help me see myself through your eyes, not through fear, not through the weight of my past, but through the truth of your calling over my life. Father, sometimes I feel like Gideon in that hidden place, working quietly, wondering if anything I do truly matters, wondering if my prayers are strong enough, wondering if my faith is enough. And in those moments, my mind begins to believe that I am too small for the plans you have. But your voice speaks differently. You called Gideon a mighty warrior before he ever fought a battle, before he ever believed in himself. And that shows me something powerful about you. You do not wait for confidence before you speak purpose. You speak purpose so confidence can grow. So today, Lord, even if my faith feels small, even if my courage feels fragile, I choose to believe that when you call someone, you already see the victory they cannot yet see. Dear God, there are moments when my thoughts try to convince me that other people are stronger, wiser, more prepared than I am. My mind lists all the reasons why I should stay quiet, why I should step back, why I should let someone else carry the responsibility. But Gideon said the same thing. He said his family was the weakest and that he was the least in his house. And still you chose him, not the strongest, not the most confident, but the one who thought he had the least to offer. And that reminds me that your power does not depend on human strength. It flows through those who trust you. So Lord, break the lie that I must be impressive for you to use me. Teach my heart that obedience matters more than perfection. Heavenly Father, your answer to Gideon was simple, but it carried the power to change everything. You said, I will be with you. Not that the battle would disappear, not that fear would never appear again, but that your presence would stand with him inside the battle. And that promise is what I hold on to this morning. Because many times I ask you to remove the challenge, to clear the path, to make the day easier. But what I need even more is the assurance that I am not walking alone. So today, Lord, let your presence calm the storm inside my mind. Remind my heart that when you are with me, my weakness is not the end of the story. It is often the place where your strength becomes visible, Father. Sometimes faith does not feel like bold confidence. Sometimes it feels like taking one small step while fear still whispers. Gideon asked for signs because he struggled to believe. And yet you were patient with him. You did not reject him for his questions. You gently showed him that your promise was real. And that encourages me this morning. Because there are days when my faith feels fragile. Days when I ask you again and again if you are truly guiding me. If I am truly walking in the path you prepared. So Lord, meet me in those moments of uncertainty. Strengthen the quiet faith that still chooses to trust you, even when everything inside me feels unsure. Lord, the world often celebrates the loud, the confident, the powerful, but your kingdom moves in a different way. You take the overlooked, the hesitant, the ones who think they are too small, and you write stories through their obedience. Gideon started the day hiding in fear, but he ended up leading a victory that could only be explained by your power. And that reminds me that my beginning does not determine my ending. So, today I surrender my insecurities. I surrender the voice that tells me I am not enough. Because if you are with me, then I already have everything I need to take the next step in faith. God, the world often celebrates the loud, the confident, the powerful, but your kingdom moves in a different way. You take the overlooked, the hesitant, the ones who think they are too small, and you write stories through their obedience. Gideon started the day hiding in fear, but he ended up leading a victory that could only be explained by your power. And that reminds me that my beginning does not determine my ending. So today, I surrender my insecurities. I surrender the voice that tells me I am not enough. Because if you are with me, then I already have everything I need to take the next step in faith. May the Lord's grace and peace accompany you today. Thank you for joining us in this moment of prayer.